But yeah, man, I know exactly where to take this one already. Um,
Mhm.
Almost none of what you just told me, which is a very beautiful narrative, is
Mhm.
coming across on your digital persona.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's going to be where we're going to spend most of our time. I can also offer some tactical things to start
Mhm.
putting your story out in front of new audiences.
Right.
However, it won't work until we get this piece dialed in.
Right.
So, something interesting happens when people think about creating content in business, right? That's you're in that realm, business coaching. So you naturally
Mhm.
you think, okay, people want me to talk about and they want to hear about quantitative stuff,
Mhm.
analytics, this and that. And that's what
Right.
actually most people will do when
Right.
they decide I want to get into business content. So they
Mhm.
stay right here, surface level,
Mhm.
right? And like so people then are psychographically, like in their mind, they're consuming you in that same way that you're presenting yourself, right? Just
Mhm.
bullet point, this, that, whatever, right? However, where the magic is, man, is all that depth that remains unexplored.
Mhm.
And the good thing here is that you have tremendous depth in just 5-7 minutes that you spent sharing your story. You have tremendous depth, a lot of experience, a lot of failure, a lot of
Mhm.
setbacks, a lot of heartbreak. And that is gonna be what gets someone to say, "Yo, I fuck with this guy. I know
Mhm.
him, I trust him. He's been through this, he's been through stuff." And so that kind of thing, though, um, in the old days, you would make one video that told your story, you know, and then you would use that video, post it one time, and put a lot of ads behind it, and
Mhm.
then say, "Okay, my story's out there."
Right.
But today, it's gonna take telling that story, the same story, in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different bits of content, slowly over time.
Mhm.
So, my narrative has gotten to the point, I was just spazzing in my last session because the guy was like, "Yo, similar thing as you, he wants to, kind of grow in this space." And he told me, he's like, "Your blueprint is one I look up to and respect and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
How do I get there?" And it's just one of those things where it was spazzing me out because, it wasn't really that long ago. I had just really just started doing it.
Right.
And when you zoom out, now I'm at the place where my story, much to your desired outcome, like it has grown well beyond, my immediate circle. I don't even know whom really it's touching at this point.
Facts.
And then doing stuff like this gets me to put faces to names and be like, "Yo,
Mhm.
what's up?" Whatever.
Mhm.
Your story has the potential to rise to that same level.
Right.
Um, and the number one ingredient here is going to be, okay, I'm going to commit to
Mhm.
sharing my story in micro doses. And it doesn't always have to be about selling a book or selling a
Mhm.
course or booking a session. In
Mhm.
fact, I will argue that the less you sell, this is going to be counterintuitive here,
Oh,
but
entrepreneurship is a paradox, man.
yeah, it is. And the less you
Mhm.
sell, the more trust you build.
Mhm.
Because have you ever met someone, like, the moment you meet them, they're just like, "Yo, man," like, you just feel like they always got something they're just trying to sell you something. You just inherently trust that person less
For
versus
sure.
someone you meet that's just like, "Yo, what's good, bro?" And you just chop it up, you have a good time,
Mhm.
it's the right amount of like, "Yo, I liked what he had to say, but yo, he's also, super dope and we relate and blah, blah, blah," and then you just become homies.
Right.
That's the effect that we need to have digitally.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the nice thing is, I'm on your page, you already have, a small little audience that you
Mhm.
can use as your sandbox,
Right.
right? I want you to start, you have the mic, so you're investing in
Mhm.
this and you're looking to get it going. You got the ring light, you got the backdrop. So you
Mhm.
really got everything you need to kind of start getting it going.
Right.
Now you're going to struggle with a number of things. Okay.
Mhm.
One is the moment you put the camera in front of you and you press record, you're just gonna stiff up. You have some camera chops, but you're gonna be stiffer than if the camera weren't there, right?
Mhm.
And that's natural. And
Right.
that's because there's two skill sets you got to get good at. One is honing message,
Mhm.
and then two is honing your skill on the medium,
Mhm.
right? So like Now I'm at the point where I turn the camera on and it's like if it wasn't there, right? And
Mhm.
that's why my very natural delivery, it works really well on video because it doesn't even feel like I'm like, hey, what's going on? It's just supernatural.
Mhm.
And that will come with time. I'm
Right.
prefacing that you'll deal with that. And you'll also, by the way, judge yourself when you see yourself play
Mhm.
back. And all your own insecurities that you have about yourself are going to come top of mind. And
Mhm.
you're going to be like, damn, I don't really like how I said that here. I don't like how I looked there. I just came across a little too arrogant there. Can we change it? And the answer is you can. However, again, this is just my experience. You will cannibalize your own momentum
Mhm.
with your own insecurity about your own self and delivery. So the practice that I have now is when I see a piece of content of myself and I know it could be better, you'll see the same thing. You'll see a piece of content and immediately you'll know, you know what? I could be better here. I could be better there, whatever.
Right.
What I'm going to encourage you to do is to take that feedback that you have on yourself. You'll know it instinctively, intuitively, immediately. The moment you see it, you'll be like, I shouldn't, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, whatever. Work it into the next piece
Right.
instead of slowing that piece down and trying to revise it.
Mhm.
Just ship it in its imperfect form. Throw your fucking hands up and say, all right, whatever.
Right.
And you throw it out.
Mhm.
But then you say, all right, next time I know I'm going to deliver this a little bit softer. Sometimes I'm a little too brash in my points and delivery. And, people are absorbing you in these little 60-second bits of micro content.
Mhm.
So they
I was just
are
about to
going to,
follow up with you on that. So, like,
mhm,
to begin, like you said, small, because I know people's attention span is shit these days.
mhm.
So you're saying like smaller, like 630 to 60-second, just
Here's
blast of
here
whatever.
here's what I actually would encourage. I would
Mhm.
encourage you to develop what we call the pillar series of content, okay? And the pillar, they call it the pillar because it's episodic in nature. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And
Mhm.
the pillar is the key to dominating social because the pillar,
I'm smiling, man, because that's how I wrote the book, and I'm gonna send you a copy. But
love
each
it.
chapter is episodic, man. It's
I
like
love it.
just little nuggets of wisdom, man.
I love it. So
So,
you got a ton of
mhm.
subject matter already because you've put the
Mhm.
work in to build this book.
Mhm.
Um, and what's going to happen is you're going to develop a pillar series of content, and so you're creating a lane for yourself to be able to give yourself the space to shine in whatever is kind of like your whatever you're you know whatever you want to be known as and known for, right?
Right.
And you're going to be, and I want it to be long form. I want it to be 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes actually. And you can do it, just with your phone. You set it up on the one of those little mini tripods, and you're in front of your audio, your mic,
Mhm.
and you do these longer bits, right? And so here's what's going to happen. You're going to do 1, you're going to do 2, you're going to do 5, you're going to do 7, 10. And over time, you start developing a big archive of a ton of this content that you have
Mhm.
backlogged. And eventually you can start making the little 30 or 60-second clips. The good news is you don't got to think up clever shit to say every time. You're
Mhm.
actually just going back to your pillar. And those moments where you were on fire, those moments.
Mhm.
Those moments where you're like, fuck, I wish I had recorded that, right?
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
they're gonna they're gonna be there. And you can pull that. And you've
Mhm.
seen the clips, headline, video, caption, right? Now I'm gonna share with you my exact playbook that I have in terms of my staff that helps me produce content at scale. I presently have a guy I pay $500 and a month, and he produces 20 to 25 pieces of content a month.
Dope.
I didn't start there. I started maybe like with less volume. I started like $200 a month. Make 10, make 12 pieces for me a month.
Mhm.
And they'll make the little graphics that you see me post and the videos. I post everything. I don't use a content calendar, any of that bullshit. But they make it all.
Right.
And then they send it all to me, and I always have it here on my phone. And you start developing this sixth sense of like the content that you have backlogged. And then you'll know, like, let me just post this, and you start experimenting, posting at different times all throughout the day, whatever. And look, I want to keep the main goal in mind here, because the goal is not to become good at posting. but it's the means through which you will build emotional resonance with who you are. And the reason that I really like leading with your story is because for me, people say, oh yeah, John Henry, oh yeah, that's a cat. He was a doorman. He dropped out of college and now he's doing this, right? Like
Mhm.
people have they know where to fit me in their mind, right? And so that's what you're going to need to work on. I want people to say, oh yeah, Craig, oh yeah, he's the guy who went through this, and now he's doing this. That little sound bite that allows people to share you. And then what happens is you start growing, and then you start being considered for other opportunities. Like for instance, yo Craig, we're having this panel, we're putting together a panel, 3 people. We wanted someone. It's on the adversity in business. We know you've been through a lot because we know your story, or our audience just couldn't stop tagging you when we asked for recommendations. Would you like to jump on? By the way, we don't have a whole lot of budget, but we got $1,000 and we'll cover your stay if you can get out here to DC.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of that stuff's happened already, man. It's just like on a local level that's been achieved.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So for sure. And then, when it happens, you make sure you do the basics. You record it and then you share it and you record.
Mhm.
So what happens is you start going from this guy who's a business coach to this person that just people know, and they fuck with you and they trust you. And the less you have something that you're selling on the back end, the more people will get to that place where they're like, yo, I just trust this because I want you to give it out for free.
Mhm.
I want you to be so secure in your own value. Give it out for free. Like I'm doing these sessions as an experiment, but you know that everything else I've done, everything else I'm giving away for free.
Right.
We raised a big fund. I'll give that blueprint away for free. I don't care. I'll show you exactly how I raise my deals. I show you exactly how I start it doesn't matter to me because I want to reduce the friction for people to consume my content because it makes people share you more. It makes people share you more, and then you become an authority, honestly, because people just start tuning in for your shit because they know he gives the game away for free. And you start following, And then anytime you do sell something, you can mix your sales in there. Every so often, I want you to give value away for like a month and a half, 2 months. And then you say, hey, I'm running a sale.
Right.
And because of the new people that you have in your funnel, they buy, right? Because they've grown to know and trust you. And then you can play that out over months and years. So that is what I did. And now with respects to like specific tactics that you can put in play to start growing your audience, number of things. Okay. In the early stages, I did use software to grow my core audience. Now I know that there's better ways, but I did do it and it did jumpstart me. So
Right.
so here's what I did. Here's my thought process. Okay, look, there are people out there that have already built audiences in the exact space that I want to build an audience in.
Right.
For you, I would be one of them, but there's a bunch of them. Earn Your Leisure, Blacker Pockets, Black Wall Street, Black Wealth Renaissance, Anthony Frazier, my boy Ani Hustles, Harlem Capital. There's a bunch of these brands that have already taken the effort to build their audiences. So what does that mean? That means that their audiences have already pre-selected themselves to say, hey, I'm interested in this kind of content.
Right.
So my immediate thought process was, how can I hack that shit and just get right to them? Because I know if I can just get right to them, that they'll be like, huh, who's this? They'll click through my profile and they'll follow me back. And the more followers you have, it's a bigger audience, and the bigger audience is people that's tuned in with what you're doing. And then ultimately is more customers. So what I do, well, I was manually clicking through to these profiles, clicking through their followers, clicking through, one by one and liking their shit. And then I discovered that there's software that does automate this for you. And the one that I was using way back when, I honestly don't even know if they're in business anymore. I can share the platform. It's called Boostgram. And there were actually a number of them. There's there's a number of these platforms. They probably have gotten cheaper too, because I was paying $99 a month before. But I think there are ones that cost you $50 or whatever. And so here's what the platform does, right? You log in, they get access to your back end, And then you can specify either hashtags or profiles that you want to automatically your profile have engaged with.
Okay.
I can speed up your learning cycle here and say hashtags are very noisy and they
Mhm.
don't work as well. So because I was doing thing like, black business and stuff like that, but there's a lot of people that just spam hashtags. So I quickly cut the hashtags and I started
Mhm.
focusing a lot more on other profiles. And then to give you another dose of learning that I had, I realized that the profiles that had smaller audiences actually had more real audiences.
Yeah, the micro influencers.
For sure.
Yeah.
People with 5, 10K, 12K. I didn't target anyone who had more than 20K because then I realized like, okay, they're probably doing stuff to grow their audience.
Mhm.
So then you can have this software take various actions on your behalf. I did tamper a little bit with having it comment on my behalf and
Mhm.
comment and like leaving the, yo, I love your page, check out mine. I didn't like how that was coming across. Like I didn't want to be super
And
spammy.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I wanted to make sure I was being authentic, but I did also want to experiment with the automated, you know, powers that this thing can afford you. So
Yeah.
all I allowed it to do was to engage on my behalf, like people's photos. And that's all I wanted. And so here's what happens, right? You're targeting the followers of people that have about 10,000 followers. And then you can actually like I didn't want the algorithm to engage with anyone that had like more than 2,000 followers, honestly, because
Mhm.
I wanted followers. I wanted like real regular people who just use Instagram.
Mhm.
And you know how it is. Most people just lurk on Instagram, to be honest, and they don't really grow following. So this is criteria that I developed for myself. I want people to have 1,000 or less followers, just like regular motherfuckers who are just on Instagram, right?
Mhm.
And but also happen to follow John Henry, Earn Your Leisure. Like these were the people that I determined were going to be the most probable to follow me back. Okay. I
Like
also tried Black Enterprise. I tried a bunch of these. And then the algorithm, the software will go through and it'll click like on like 3 of their photos in a row. Click like.
mm,
And any regular person is gonna
it's gonna
be
like
is gonna be surprised. They're just gonna be
that.
like, what the fuck's going on? They're gonna click through. And here's where the rest of it is on you.
Yeah.
Okay. The tighter your persona is on the web. Like right now, I like what you have, but it doesn't say anything really about you. It doesn't communicate all that first like wave that
Mhm.
opened up with. So me personally, I would tighten up your persona, make it a little bit more personable, whatever, but then also pair it with what I'm telling you to do. All this
Mhm.
web shit, right?
Right.
And that's gonna kickstart your shit. And you'll get to the point where, I it doesn't work forever, by the way, but
Right.
you'll do it as long as it works. So I did it and I was getting like maybe 2,000, honestly, followers every month, 2 or 3,000 a
Interesting.
month. And I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. And then it started tapering down, sorry, 1,500. And so then what I would do is like, I would then reset it and get rid of all the people that I have and then
Mhm.
put new people that are also similar to me. Yo, let me
Right.
do Tristan Walker, who started Bevel. Let me do Wall Street Trapper. And then I would switch them out and then do business pages. Let me do Earn Your Leisure. Let me do Blacker. And so you can switch. I went from publications to people to more higher profile influence. I tried everything, man. And it helped me get to honestly like probably like 12, 15K. That's how kind of like where I got. Now, here's the important thing.
Right.
Anytime you pay for something, man, it goes away when you stop paying for it. Right. So that growth stopped
Right.
when I stopped paying for it. So I need you to also nurture. That's why I'm encouraging you to also nurture the organic piece, which
Exactly.
is which is you doing, hey, what's going on? And so when you pair those together, all those new people who now step into your world
Mhm.
are also being nurtured by the content that you're putting out normally. Right. And
Makes sense.
then you get into collabing instead of just targeting the followers of these people.
Mhm.
If you can use, I love using content as a Trojan horse. If
Mhm.
you can, if you can create a content series like we talked about, and it's a platform where you can interview folks every so often,
Mhm.
and then you approach one of these people and you say, yo, I would love to have you on my Instagram live. Most of them will say no. But the smaller the audience is, the higher the probability that they'll say yes. So now if you're targeting people 10, 15K audience, 5K, 20K, they'll jump on live with you. And then you're getting their followers. Now they're getting another touch point. Oh, yeah, this guy, I already followed this guy somehow because you've been targeting their followers. Right. And by the way, I did this and I targeted conferences as well. Afrotech, all this shit. Black Enterprise Connect, all these conferences. And then when I show up to the conferences in person, when they happen, it's fucking bananas. Yo, what's up? And that's a mixture of like, yeah, I've been at it for a while. People already know me at this point, but also I worked at it and I used that. I use the hashtag Afrotech all year round so that when Afrotech actually happens, the algorithm picks up not just people who are using it right now, but people, they'll rank you to a certain tag. They'll rank your relevance to a certain hashtag. And, I'm less big on hashtag these days, but it's still the plumbing of how all this shit works. So then when Afrotech was popping or CultureCon or whatever, I honestly, bro, like this is all shit that I've developed over the years. But even if I'm not at the conference, I'll tap into the hashtag and just engage with them. Yo, what's going on? Manually.
Right.
So the thing is, people who just try to have the software do everything for them, it will not work. You got to also pair with manual effort because it's going to give you that. You're going to over index and people will be able to tell when you're like literally responding to a specific photo. Now, this makes no sense in terms of the ROI on your time. But the manual one-to-one, really deep interaction is where the magic happens. And that's when people are like, yo, boom. So now we're talking, now this is multi-pronged, right? Now we're talking organic effort on putting out the content. Now we're talking about having some of that automated stuff kickstart you a little bit,
right?
But knowing it won't last forever. And every time as it dies down, refresh it. New people, try hashtags, try a bunch of stuff. Then we're also talking about the fact that I love these conferences because it's a big captive audience of people who show up, and they're already paying $1,500 to go and hear about Black business. So that's already you, right?
Exactly.
So then you're following while those events are live. You're just engaging. Hey. Right. And now you're also getting some of these people to jump on your IG live. You will see, Craig, how that, if you do that consistently, 6 months, 9 months, a year and a half, your persona will go to what it is at the local level for you already. It'll start to occupy that same, you'll command that same level of prestige that you have locally, digitally, which has no geographic confines.
Exactly.
Now you're just like, oh, now brands, when they start, considering who to use for a campaign for resilient African Americans in business, now your name starts getting thrown in the hat. And you won't get every one of those, but there might be someone who says, you know what, we use John Henry all the time. We need someone new. Right. Oh, yeah, well, I've heard about this guy, Craig. Let me check him out. Oh, well, it's pretty good. All right, he's got a little bit of reach. You know what, let's give it to him.
Right.
And you'll get a deal, $3,500 for a post and a couple stories. Cool, I'll take it. Because you just want that. You just want that and then once you have your first one, then you package it, make a little slide deck out of it, and then you start pitching it to other brands. And the way I pitch to brands, by the way, is I've learned that there's a social team behind every brand on Instagram. And you can actually, if you click the arrow on how to contact them, you can click email, and your email will go straight to the social media team of that respective brand. And you can say influencer collaboration request. And you say, hey, what's going on? My name is such and such. I have a deeply engaged audience in this niche. Here's attaching a media kit, an example of other brands I've worked with. I love your brand. I've been wanting to work with you. Would appreciate the chance at getting back. And you'll be surprised how few people do that, and thus the rate of response is actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And they'll get back and say, what's your rate? And you say, well, look, normally I do, 5,000, but for you, I could do a couple grand just because I love your brand. Okay, cool. Boom. And then it starts building a virtuous cycle where then you start becoming known because brands actually, if you believe it, there's a database where they log you in as someone that they've worked with you before with, and
Fascinating.
then brands can then actually sift through because it's like validation when other brands work with you. Like I've worked with Staples and Cadillac and blah blah blah, and so I'm a known name now, in at least for my category, right? There's much bigger
Right.
categories and there's smaller categories, but for my tier, my weight class, my name gets thrown around in there because they can actually look through the platform. And so similarly for you, you'll start coming up as like, okay, yeah, this is a guy who charges about 2,500 to 5,000, maybe 7,500 on the high end. Here's his engagement, here's how well he does, and blah blah blah. And then you just start getting more and more brand deals.
Right.
And then
It's
you
traction.
look, it's traction. You
Yeah.
just look like the shit to your audience. And you do more talks, you record them, you share it. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. More books sold. It just builds up. And then, then Black Enterprise decides to do a feature on up and coming people. They don't want to use the same old names. They feature you. And then you pop a little bit more off of that. Then a LinkedIn editor sees that and features you on a LinkedIn piece of content, not paid, but you get 500,000 views because people resonate with your story. You get your first little viral moment. Oh shit, they come through. You're nurturing them with your content, and so you roll out a new product, you drop it, you get a little spike in sale. And so it just feeds, it just all feeds itself and it becomes a virtuous cycle. But
So
it
tell me
does.
this, man. So like with this learning, like I like figuring out things not to do. So what are some things you've learned along this brand journey of stuff that you should not do?
Don't be a cornball. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like there's just so many people that are just like I'll take you from 4 figures to 6 figures in 30 months. It's like, bruh,
I hate that shit, man.
people just want to meet you. They want to know who you are, man, as a person. So that is the only thing I would say not to do. Don't act how you wouldn't act in person online.
Right.
And just that will be enough, man. So look, I hope this was helpful. I believe that you have a lot of legs to your brand. I especially love, by the way, don't also sleep on your region. Um, you know, I like growing beyond your region, but I love also championing your region and being your go-to guy in your region. You'll get a lot of opportunities that way. It sounds like you already do, but you'll get more when you grow beyond your region. Then your region will be like, yo, I got no love in Harlem until after I grew way beyond Harlem, and now Harlem's like, yo, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
The
so
irony. Yeah.
just take care to execute on those things, man. Hone your why and your story and come across more human. You do some of the automated things to kickstart you. Do some of those collabs, um, and you'll see, and then do it consistently, and you'll see how that'll get you to the next level where you're trying to go. And then
Mhm.
oh by the way, then people will love and trust you and start booking more sessions with you. And you'll see, man, you'll have a number of streams of income. Brand deals will be one. Speaking
Mhm.
will grow as well. Then you get represented by a speaking agent, and then that grows. Your sessions will be another. The next time you do a book, you'll do a book deal, and they'll give you a $50,000 cash advance to do your next book. And slowly but surely, you build up your income streams, and you never have to do a 9 to 5 ever again.
Yeah, well, I've actually never had a 9 to 5, man. Like the
Love it.
Peace Corps is the most formal thing I've ever done, which is the complete antithesis of
Mhm.
formality. So, yeah, I mean, I don't believe in the word self-made, but yeah, I've been my own man, my whole career, and I'm just 30, man. So it's just the beginning. So,
Just starting, man. I love
yeah,
it.
just appreciate it. But man, what's your address? What's the best place for me to send a copy of the book?
I got you. I'll send it to you. Let me send it to you in this chat. Um, 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm like in between places with this COVID thing, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, man, it's tis the best of times, tis the worst of times. But I've actually lived outside the US for a total of 5 years. So
Well,
I was in some crazy places, man, like Colombia, Bolivia, Peru. So it's like, this is just another day on the block.
So
Another day.
send it to that address, man. But hey, I loved it, man. That email that I shot you a note on to schedule, that's my actual email. So hit me anytime. And just keep me posted as you progress, man. I want to be a sounding board and I don't want to make it so transactional. So be well, man.
Definitely, man. For sure, bro.
Good to
Peace.
connect. Peace.
Yeah. $220 North 6th Street, Allentown, PA 18102. Cool.